just tuned in for the latest transmission of Rice Against the Grain. I recently spoke at the latest Truth-A-Thon event that was presented by Lewis Herms and the teams at Truth Tour and Screw Big Gov. I wanted to share my presentation from that online event, and there will be a link in the video description for the full 12-hour epic marathon of truth. Before we get into it, take time to visit my website at ricetvx.com. There you can sign up for my mailing list so you can stay up to date on all things Rice. Once you've signed up for my mailing list, you will find links for my channels and socials towards the top of the website. Make sure you are subscribed to both of my YouTube channels, Rice Against the Grain and Rice TVX. If you want to support my work directly, as well as get early access, exclusive content for both channels, plus more, join my Patreon. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video.
Robert, I'm excited for you to announce our next guest because he's been extraordinarily evasive. I like to pull his chain a little bit, and that's what I'm doing right now. So bring on our first guest. I'll say hi, and then I'll drop off because I'm sure he has something great to talk about.
Chris Rice is our next guest, and he's a content creator, journalist, researcher, and freedom advocate that is actively being the change that he wants to see in the world. And his work is dedicated to making a positive impact. And I'm real excited to meet him because I haven't met him yet either. I'm really looking forward to it. He's the founder of Rice Media Group, as well as a host of Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain. Gosh, I love that. Come on in, Chris. Unmute yourself. Come on in.
I'm unmuted. I'm here.
Awesome. Good to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise. And I appreciate the invitation. Shout out to everybody involved with Truth-A-Thon, Truth Tour, making this thing happen. Shout out to all the guests that have spoken previously and that are going to be speaking after me, and everybody that's watching, because this is a group effort.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And anybody's watching, Chris is a nice, hard-hitting journalist. I love his approach. He'll give you a fair shot, and he'll also cut you off your knees if you're a backstabbing piece of crap liar, which I respect that a lot. So
I appreciate.
Hey, Chris, love you. Appreciate
it. Love you too, man.
Bring it, brother.
Thank you. Well, to explain the evasiveness, I did bring on Lewis Herms for a couple interviews, and I interviewed him before Truth Tour 2 started. I was going to be a part of that and decided to back out. Lewis knows my reasonings for that. I am evasive. I don't want to necessarily attach myself to certain groups and peoples. I understand what Lewis is trying to accomplish with the Truth Tour, and I commend it. What I've noticed in the truth movement is it's hard to bring together all the people because there's just so much division. There's a lot of egos, a lot of people thinking that what they're saying is right and what someone else is saying is wrong. And that's kind of a little intro to me. So for people who are unfamiliar, my name's Chris Rice. I go by Rice. Everybody calls me Rice. I'm the host of Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain, as you mentioned. Rice Against the Grain is my brand new channel. To kind of give a little background, like you said, I'm a journalist. I try to bring truth as much as possible. I try to bring it from as much of a mid perspective, not putting me into the mix. Sometimes that's hard. Emotions do come through, but I do try my best. And when it is emotional involved, I try to let people know too, when it's not just straight facts and it's me speculating or sharing my thoughts and opinions on things. When I first started my channel, I originally started in January of 2018. So I've been at this for quite some time. And I originally started the channel as ricecrypto was the brand, and I was covering crypto economics and talking about anarchy and voluntarism and trying to teach people about agorism as well, which I will be talking about. I've had some issues with content, started branching out and restructured my channel in early 2020. And I had the Rice Crypto Show, the Rice Report, and Stranger Than Fiction. The Stranger Than Fiction content I've since moved over to Rice Against the Grain due to censorship. This is my full-time job as well and my full-time income. And for me to lose Rice TVX, I'm going to lose all my income. And the crypto stuff really does help me to be able to do this full-time. Shout out to my sponsors and stuff that make it possible and all the different people that support my channel. With that being said, from 2020 through basically early 23, I was dealing with nonstop censorship. I've had videos removed, old videos, new videos, and I decided to save Rice TVX, delete all the Stranger Than Fiction content, start Rice Against the Grain, move all the content over there. So I'm reposting older interviews in addition to doing newer content as well. So Rice TVX covers cryptocurrency, economics, and politics. Some of my recent guests have included Dr. Sherry Peel Jackson, who was a former IRS agent. As Dr. Frank mentioned, I had Sheriff Mack on my channel. I posted the interview on both channels because some interviews are relevant for both, but I'm actually posting them on Rice Against the Grain first to make sure that there's no problems with me uploading them, because I've actually had videos on multiple channels and only one channel get attacked versus another. So I need to I've learned to play this game of censorship. I also have a Rumble channel, Odyssey, and BitChute, and I'm doing a lot of uncensored content that I'm not posting up on YouTube. And I'm trying to use YouTube against itself to push people to these other platforms. So when I'm on YouTube, I definitely have to self-censor myself. I have to censor my guests. I have to be really careful about the words that are being used, the topics. And many of you might know Ethan Lucas, who has been on my show for a couple of years now. We do an ongoing series called Spirituality of Law. We'll be live this coming Sunday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time if people want to check that out on Rice Against the Grain. And throughout that time, I mean, he can share information about the censorship that I've been dealing with, but been a long journey. So the Rice Against the Grain content, what we cover over there is going down the rabbit hole of fringe topics, conspiracies. I study the legal fiction. I also consider myself an open-minded skeptic to a lot of these topics. I like proof. I like evidence. So that's been one of my issues. And I'm not in any sort of legal problems or have any trouble going on. So I'm not in any sort of hurry in trying to make something happen. I'm researching and learning. I also do spirituality, alternative history, hidden history, and other things to that effect. So that's a little bit about me, my work. One of the big focuses of my channel is this philosophy called practice change. And I would love everybody to adopt this idea, this motto, this mantra, hashtag practice change. Feel free to use it. It's not mine, it's ours. I just started the whole movement. And what it's about is us individually being the change that we want to see in the world. When I end my videos saying, be a blessing to others, treat people how you want to be treated, be the glitch that you want to see in the matrix, and be the change that you want to see in this world. And every day we get to wake up and learn from all the different things that we experience, good, bad, positive, and negative. And we can reapply those things and be a better us, a better me, a better you every day. And the more of us that do that, the more that we can affect change. And another thing that I'm really trying to manifest is this idea that when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people. So I think the more of us that try to focus on positivity, instead of complaining about the things that you don't like in this world, do something about it. Be active, because all you're doing is putting out negative energy, and that negative energy is not conducive to you or anyone else in your life. So I would encourage you in thinking about ways that you can make change, that you can, because we all have a role to play, regardless of what that role is, no matter how big or how small it is, whether it's you watching these videos and pressing a like button and commenting to help the algorithm so that it might show up in a feed for someone who needs to hear the information. I mean, we all have a role to play, whether you're doing what I'm doing, whether you're doing what Lewis is doing, whether you're someone who's behind the scenes and you don't really want necessarily people to know who you are, but you're doing things to impact change. And the other thing, in addition to us individually all being the change that we want to see in the world, and the other focus that I wanted to really put some time into here, and let me know if I'm running over time, because I definitely don't want to keep things going further than they already have been kind of taken off. But
you have a clock right on your screen if you could see it there.
No, I cannot. I'm looking on Zoom. I can see the clock on Rumble, but that's a delay, so I'm not sure. But just let me know. So what I wanted to talk about was agorism. And this is a way for us to have new solutions to old problems that we've been dealing with. One of the things that I talk about with cryptocurrency, and I know there's probably a lot of people watching this that are not pro crypto at all, but when a central bank digital currency is issued, programmable currency that could be attached to a social credit score, your carbon footprint. It could be limited by location. It could be limited as far as how long you have to spend this currency. You will appreciate what Bitcoin was created for. It's open source code. You don't have to trust it. You can verify everything about it. Bitcoin is the complete and utter opposite of what central bank digital currencies are. And I want to talk more about the central bank digital currencies in a moment after I cover this agorism topic, which basically is dealing with counter economics and creating parallel systems, breakaway communities, because we need to be thinking locally and acting locally. And I'll repeat this phrase, but your freedom depends on mine, and my freedom depends on yours. So that's why we got to work together. And that's why I'm trying to get out of this mindset of not associating with myself with people I may not necessarily philosophically agree with. Because ultimately, when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people. And if I'm going to let little things divide me from uniting with others, I need to think about that. And that's one of the things that I want people to think about as well. And this is me kind of openly admitting and saying I may have been wrong in some of the choices that I made. So I'm trying my best to have more of an open mind while still remaining skeptical and trying to help give ideas that are going to help unite us. I'm not going to, I'm not promoting platforms, but if people want to connect with people locally and you're looking for a form of communication, I encourage people to check out a website called freedomcells.org. It's CELLS, freedomcells.org. And it's a really good way for people to connect up with their communities online, whether locally, regionally, and then nationally. And then we also have peoplesrights.org, which was put out by Ammon Bundy, and it's phone and app-based way for people connecting up with their neighbors, their local community. He has something called Neighborhood Organized Defense System, NODS. If people go to Ammon Bundy's YouTube channel, you can search for the NODS, NODS videos. But it goes into a way for us to deal with counter economics, which is using the free market. It's creating new systems that are made of, by, and for the people, which is really important. I don't have all the answers. I'm just trying to make suggestions and things, and I definitely want to get involved. So if people have ideas, some of these platforms working, I encourage people to reach out to me 100%. Go to ricetvx.com. My email's there, and there's a contact form. But building parallel systems and breakaway communities will allow for us to be able to function without having to rely upon what the rest of the world, the mainstream, is relying upon, because we're seeing everything breaking down. We're seeing a breaking down of the supply chain system. We're seeing food issues. So the more that local communities can come together, the more that we can have these resources available to the communities that are forming in these local areas. We form local communities, and then you have your local communities interconnect regionally, and then by state, and then connect states, and we have a whole entire system that we're going to utilize for all of us to be able to communicate, to have a marketplace, for us to support each other's businesses, to use different forms of money and currency versus using the government currency, US dollars and fiat money, whether that's cryptocurrency, whether you're using gold and silver, or whatever the situation might be, because it's an agreement between two people. But we need to be thinking about solutions getting away from that. Because coming back to a central bank digital currency, and the reason why we need to think locally and think and act locally is because there is an amendment to the UCC Uniform Commercial Code law. Some of the people that study legal fiction will be familiar with the UCC, secured party creditor stuff, SPC. The UCC are trying to make an amendment to their laws where they're redefining money, and they're doing this on a state level. I found out about this. Governor Noem from South Dakota was on Tucker Carlson's show last week talking about this bill. She vetoed it, rejected it, so it's not going through. But they were trying to slip this through on a state level, and they're doing this to multiple states. I'll be doing a video about this on Rice TVX tomorrow specifically. But they're trying to change and redefine what money is, which would exclude Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but it would include and allow for central bank digital currencies, obviously. So they're literally trying to pass laws on a state level that will prevent money as being or Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as being defined as money and being utilized. And it's a big impact. And that's how much things happen on a local level that we don't think about. People are focusing on the federal government and what the federal government's doing. But if you think about things from you just individually, you tackling this issue by yourself, can you make more of an impact on a national stage, or can you make more of an impact in your local area? And that's what I want people to think about. So again, the central bank digital currency is something that's going to be coming. I encourage people to get involved with politics. This isn't something I would have said a few years ago, but you need to communicate to your politicians, to your legislatures, to the people that are supposed to be representing you, whether on a state or federal level. And you need to communicate to them how you feel about the legislation that's being introduced and what you would like for them to do, because they are supposed to be ultimately representing your vote. And if we don't do anything to stand up against the legislation that could be coming with central bank digital currencies, we're going to get a central bank digital currency. It's, do we try to shape the legislation to be more positive for the people, or do we allow for it to just go through and give more control to governments and banks? And when you combine that with digital ID and you look at all the different agendas of the World Economic Forum and what's been spoken at the Davos meetings, it's not good. It doesn't spell, it's digital prison and there's no way out. And if you really think about everything I'm saying, hopefully you will be inspired by what I'm talking about and get involved in whatever level that is. And again, if you have a marketplace online, if you have some sort of peer-to-peer encrypted communication, if you have satellite phones, if you have ways for us as a community of people to be able to have better communication and better ways of being able to interact, I would love to hear from you personally. How much time do I have?
You right now have 2 minutes left.
Wow, that's cool.
That's,
okay.
You're on time. You're doing very well.
So I will add again, when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people. And I want to see us be able to peacefully change this world, but it's going to take enough people to do that. And I also am willing to stand and fight regardless. And it may get to that point. So I want people to realize that. And when you commit yourself to this, you're in it for life. You can't get away from it unless you just want to go back in a corner and cower. So if you like what George Orwell wrote in the book 1984, then welcome to 1984, because it's here and it's going to get worse if we don't do something about it. So I would encourage you to be the change that you want to see in this world, practice change, and remember that my freedom depends on yours and your freedom depends on mine.
Brilliant words. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. So where do you want to send people to go visit to find you?
RiceTVX.com is my website.
Right.
People can sign up for my mailing list. Once you get there, you'll see links for all of my channels and my socials.
So Rice Against the Grain is a podcast, or is that just another website?
2 YouTube channels.
2 YouTube channels. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, you're
and
brave.
I cover a lot. So like I said, Rice TVX is crypto, economics, blockchain, and politics. And then over on Rice Against the Grain, we're covering everything from fringe topics, conspiracies, legal fiction, law studies, hidden alternative history, spirituality, and more. So it was all in one channel, and it was the stranger than fiction content that was causing me all the issues with censorship that I was dealing with.
Okay. So you broke it up, and you're better off now on YouTube. Okay. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, splitting it up and then making sure I'm spreading myself out on other platforms. So again, I would encourage people to make sure that you're following me here on Rumble, especially because I am uploading exclusive content and uncensored videos that I'm not posting on YouTube.
Wonderful. If you'll send us those, I think I maybe have those links, but if we don't have them, make sure we have them. I will put them in the description. We're going to put all these videos up separately from all the guests, because we get people like that rather than watching the whole long video. So we'll make sure that it's in the descriptions there as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, Chris. It was great meeting you, and I know we're going to do some more stuff together as well. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.